Hi, we're Cherrie Brown and Zach McReynolds at HomeSmart Valencia. We're going to talk a little bit about Mello-Roos today and what does Mello-Roos mean for you in Santa Clarita.
It's one of the most frequently asked questions that we get, and it's one of the biggest questions that we get through our website. What is a Mello-Roos? And really what a Mello-Roos is, it was a law that was put in 1982 to circumvent the California Prop 13 that was put in 1978. Now, this was Henry J. Mello and Mike Roos, a senator and an assemblyman. They put this law in effect to basically circumvent the law passed in 1978. The law in 1978 says that the local community cannot adjust your property taxes more than what the natural inflation rate is. So they passed this so the local communities could still tax above and beyond what the local property tax rate is without going through and calling it property tax. So this came into effect, and a lot of people ask, why is it so much in Valencia and our Stevenson Ranch properties out here? Basically because in the beginning, we're a master plan community in Valencia, meaning Valencia and the lawmakers, New Holland and Farm, when D.R. Horton or Lennar or KB come in to build a community, they don't just let them build their little box of community and move on to the next one. They require them to put certain community features in, such as parks or schools or fire departments.
More streetlights.
It could go to anything. So originally, these developers, they were paying for that and putting it in. Well, somewhere along the way, someone got wise, instituted this Mello-Roos law, and passed it on to the home buyers. So that was kind of the start, and it really snowballed from there, where then almost every community coming up through the end of the 90s, the early 2000s, almost every community was using the Mello-Roos as opposed to paying it off themselves. It's really become a dirty word here in Santa Clarita. Many communities have them. Think all of Tesoro, think Plum Canyon and Saugus. It really got to a point where it was so bad that then the developers started paying it off up front again so that they could market their properties as no Mello-Roos.
And typically a property that has a Mello-Roos, the price is going to be a little bit lower, and that's the way the builder justifies it. We'll offer our homes for a lower price if we don't pay off the Mello-Roos ourselves as the builder. And the properties that don't have a Mello-Roos, their prices tend to be a little bit higher. So when you're searching for a property, you'll see some that are $500,000 when the house across the street may be $300,000, and that may suggest that there's Mello-Roos attached to that property.
One of the other questions that we get often asked is, when do the Mello-Roos end? Every Mello-Roos does have an expiration date. However, at the end of this date, whoever's the recipient of the funds, whether it be the school, whether it be the fire station, whether it be the parks, they're the ones that determine if they still need the funds or not. So it's kind of a weird catch-22, because really at the end of the day, who's going to say, no, we're good, we don't need the funds anymore?
And how much funds do they need? It's ultimately up to them.
So a lot of people say, how do I know how much the Mello-Roos are? Because it's not listed in the MLS. It doesn't tell you anywhere. It'll say how much your HOA is, but it won't say if or how much the HOA or the Mello-Roos is. So really, that's what this is for. We've gone through and compiled a list of every tract in all of Santa Clarita and listed how much the Mello-Roos is, approximate value. We can't be specific, we're looking off tax rolls, but we'll give a price range. So wherever you're seeing this video, there should be a list accompanying this that you can download and you can keep, and it'll show you all the tracts that do have Mello-Roos in all of Santa Clarita.
Yes, and it really is not just Mello-Roos, but also special assessments, and it's going to include, not every property is it just Mello-Roos. You may have a landscape bond or something of that nature.
So really what we're doing is we're lumping it all together. Really, our tax rate out here is 1.25%. So what we're doing is we're subtracting out the 1.25%, and we're saying here's an additional tax on top of your property tax that's coming out to this, and we're lumping that all together and calling that Mello-Roos, even though part of it could be a Mello-Roos, part of it could be a landscape bond, as she said, or it could go to another assessment. If you have any questions, Zach McReynolds, Cherrie Brown, you can give us a call, 661-262-9224, or our email address should be anywhere on or around this video. Thank you so much.
Bye.